My boyfriend's mother moved into our house claiming health problems. Then I found her detailed surveillance notebook documenting my daily routine, including my period cycle and a 2-year plan to destroy our relationship. So I confronted the entire family with recordings of her phone calls, and she admitted to manipulating 3 children's marriages. I thought I was losing my mind. For 2 years, every relationship milestone with my boyfriend Marcus felt like it was being sabotaged by some invisible force. Important conversations would get interrupted at crucial moments. Plans would fall through due to emergencies that never quite made sense. His family would create drama right before every major event we planned together. I'm Sarah, 26, and I work as a graphic designer. Marcus and I had been together for 3 years, living together for the past year and a half. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. He was kind, supportive, and we shared the same goals for the future. But there was always this underlying tension that I couldn't quite identify. The problems always seemed to center around his mother, Patricia. She was one of those women who claimed to love me while constantly making little comments that chipped away at my confidence. "Oh, Sarah, that dress is so brave of you." "Marcus, are you sure Sarah's career is stable enough for your future plans?" "I just worry that Sarah doesn't understand our family traditions." But it was more than just comments. Every time Marcus and I reached a new level of commitment, something would happen to create doubt or conflict. When we moved in together, his sister suddenly had a family crisis that required Marcus to spend 3 weeks at his childhood home, leaving me to handle the move alone. When we started talking about engagement, his father was diagnosed with a mysterious illness that turned out to be stress-related and resolved itself as soon as the engagement talk stopped. I started keeping track of these incidents because they felt too convenient to be coincidental. Every time we made progress in our relationship, Patricia would create some family emergency or express concerns about our compatibility that would send Marcus into a spiral of doubt. The breaking point came 6 months ago when Marcus and I were finally ready to look at engagement rings. We talked about marriage extensively, saved money together, and even started casually looking at venues. I was the happiest I'd ever been in the relationship. That's when Patricia announced she was having heart problems and needed to move in with us temporarily for her health. The timing was suspicious, but Marcus was genuinely worried about his mother's health, so I supported the decision despite my reservations. Having Patricia in our home was a nightmare. She would rearrange our furniture while we were at work, claiming she was just trying to help make the space more comfortable for everyone. She'd use our bedroom when we weren't home, saying the guest room was too small for her to rest properly. She'd comment on everything from my cooking to my housekeeping to my work schedule. But the worst part was how she would position herself as the victim whenever I tried to set boundaries. If I asked her not to go through my personal belongings, she'd tearfully tell Marcus that I was being hostile and making her feel unwelcome during her health crisis. If I suggested she might be more comfortable in her own space, Marcus would remind me that family takes care of family. 3 months into Patricia's stay, I was exhausted and questioning my own sanity. Marcus seemed oblivious to how his mother was affecting our relationship, and I felt like I was being manipulated but couldn't prove it. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I installed a small security camera in our living room, ostensibly for general home security but really to see what Patricia was doing when Marcus and I weren't home. What I discovered over the next 2 weeks was so much worse than I had imagined. Patricia wasn't just being passively difficult. She was actively sabotaging our relationship in calculated ways. I watched footage of her going through my personal papers, photographing documents related to my job and finances. She was reading my journal and taking pictures of pages where I'd written about relationship concerns or future plans with Marcus. But the most shocking discovery was when I saw her on the phone with someone, clearly discussing Marcus and me in detail. I couldn't hear the conversation through the camera, but her body language and the fact that she was taking notes while looking at photos of us together made it clear this wasn't a casual chat with a friend. I decided I needed to hear what she was saying, so I started coming home during lunch breaks when she thought I was at work. That's when I overheard the conversation that revealed the full scope of what had been happening. Patricia was on the phone with Marcus's Aunt Linda, who lived across the country. "The engagement ring shopping has stopped completely," Patricia was saying. "My plan is working perfectly. I told you that moving in here would create enough tension to break them up within 6 months." I stood frozen in our hallway, listening to Patricia detail her strategy for ending my relationship with her son. She explained how she'd been documenting my behavior, taking photos of my living space when it was messy, and keeping a record of every argument Marcus and I had during her stay. "I've been building a case," she said. "I have evidence that Sarah is unstable, financially irresponsible, and not suitable for Marcus. Once I show him everything I've documented, he'll realize he's been making a mistake." Linda was apparently questioning whether Patricia's methods were ethical, because I heard Patricia say, "Marcus deserves someone from a better family, someone who understands what it means to marry into our social circle. Sarah is sweet, but she's not wife material for someone with Marcus's potential." The conversation continued for another 20 minutes, with Patricia detailing her long-term plan to gradually turn Marcus against me while positioning herself as the concerned mother who was only looking out for her son's best interests. She even mentioned that she'd been in contact with Marcus's ex-girlfriend Emma, who was now single and, according to Patricia, much more appropriate for her son. I recorded the entire conversation on my phone, my hands shaking as I realized the scope of what Patricia had been doing to our relationship. Every unexplained conflict, every convenient family crisis, every moment when I felt like I was losing my mind suddenly made perfect sense. But I didn't confront Patricia immediately. Instead, I spent the next week gathering more evidence. I documented every manipulative comment, every boundary violation, and every incident where she'd created drama or conflict. I also started recording our conversations when Marcus wasn't around, capturing Patricia's passive-aggressive comments and her attempts to undermine my relationship with her son. The final piece of evidence came when I discovered Patricia's notebook. She'd been keeping detailed records of my daily routines, my work schedule, my personal phone calls, and even my cycle tracking app data that she'd somehow accessed on my phone. The notebook included a timeline for achieving her goal of breaking us up, complete with specific strategies for creating doubt in Marcus's mind about our compatibility. One entry read, Week 12, successfully caused fight about financial planning by questioning Sarah's student loan debt in front of Marcus. He seemed concerned about her fiscal responsibility. Continue to plant seeds about long-term financial compatibility. Another entry, Week 16, Sarah becoming suspicious of my involvement in relationship problems. Need to be more subtle. We'll focus on highlighting her emotional instability and family background differences. The notebook was filled with months of calculated manipulation, all designed to slowly poison Marcus against me while making it seem like the relationship was failing naturally. Update 1, I knew I had to tell Marcus everything, but I also knew that Patricia would deny it all and position herself as the victim of my accusations. So I planned the confrontation carefully. I invited Marcus's sister Kate and his brother David over for dinner, ostensibly to celebrate Patricia's improved health and discuss her moving back to her own place. Patricia was delighted by the family gathering, seeing it as an opportunity to demonstrate her importance in Marcus's life. During dinner, I brought up the topic of our relationship and how we've been working through some challenges during this stressful time. Patricia immediately jumped in with comments about how relationships require compatibility and understanding, and how sometimes love isn't enough if two people aren't truly right for each other. That's when I played the recording of her phone conversation with Linda. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Marcus went completely pale, Kate gasped and dropped her fork, and David demanded to know if this was some kind of joke. Patricia tried to claim the recording was fake or taken out of context, but when I produced her notebook and